Yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nilesh. Namaskar, good evening, everyone. At the outset, I take this opportunity to welcome today's speaker. Today's speaker is renowned scientist who has worked in the field of pig medicine, swine medicine since last 13 to 14 years. I request and welcome Swaraj Rajkumar sir for today's webinar. Sir, you are wholeheartedly welcome on our ISPM forum to deliver today's webinar, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Before,
Thank you.
before start our webinar, I would like to introduce about today's speaker. Dr. Swaraj Rajkumar sir joined as the ARS scientist in year 1999. Presently, he is working as principal scientist and director at ICAR NRC Pig Assam. Sir completed his PhD from Assam Agriculture University in year 2005 and postdoctoral fellowship from United States of America, where he learned advanced molecular techniques like MLST, SLST, SNP, and DNA microarray technology. His area of interest is molecular immunology and molecular diagnosis of infectious diseases of animal origin, including public health significance. Sir has 13 years vast experience in area of porcine diseases, where he published more than 100 research articles in national and international journals. Sir handled more than 10 extra mural funded projects as a principal investigator and several projects as a co-principal investigator. Such a swine medicine expert is with us on today's evening. I welcome sir and request him to deliver his webinar. Thank you. Rajkumar sir, please.
Okay, just I am sharing my slide in a few minutes.
Please, sir. फुल स्क्रीन कर दीजिए सर उसको.
Visible now?
Yes, sir. It is visible. Yeah.
Yeah. Am I
It
audible?
is visible, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Okay, I can start now. At the outset,
Before, yeah. So before delivering a webinar, just one request to all the participants: just stop sharing their videos and please just mute their microphone, please, so that we can enjoy the lecture of sir. Thank you.
should I start now?
Yes, sir. Please, please.
So today I will be presenting in this webinar. The topic is present status of porcine infectious diseases in India, special reference to epidemiology and diagnosis. So before going about important porcine diseases, so I will give a brief idea about what is happening in the piggery sector in the country. Just brief introduction. So an important or us because you all knowing the piggery sector plays a very pivotal role, particularly in the socio-economic development of the weaker section of the society, particularly the tribal masses, and it is one main income generating source, particularly tribal people. It is secondary agriculture, but it plays a very pivotal role because you might be knowing the food habit is entirely different, particularly from other part of the country, particularly northeastern region. So the pig, particularly pork is very important component in their dietary part. So it is one of the important basis for them. If you see demographics, mean distribution of pig population in the world, you see China, they have the world highest pig population. You can say about 50% of the world pig population is in the China. Almost 2% of the total livestock population. Though it is 2%, it plays a very important role. It helps in income generation. Again, it is one you might be knowing one of the good protein source of animal origin. And at present, the country's pig population is around 9.06 million. according to the latest census, that is 20 life census. If we see the picture, in Asia, particularly China plays a very pivotal role, where more than 80% population is concentrated in China. And if you see world population, China has almost 50% of the. Now coming to the main area of the today's webinar, that is infectious disease present status of porcine disease, particularly in the country. So pigs are mainly affected by three major groups of pathogens. You all know, that is virus, bacteria, and parasites and fungi. So basically, virus and bacteria plays a very pivotal role. So you will be surprised to know, if you know some of the facts about the disease spread in pig. During the last two decades, if you see, more than 180 pathogens have been reported on pigs. It's a very surprising fact. You see, last 2 decades, we have reported more than 180 pathogens from pigs. Of this, bacteria constitutes 58%, viruses 39%, fungi only little amount, that is 3%. Another very surprising fact is that major emerging variants are down to 98 pathogens. 98 are emerging. Of these, bacteria constitutes 49% and viruses 45%. One very surprising fact that you might be knowing, many diseases, particularly viral diseases, they are basically RNA viruses. And RNA viruses account for 61% of the emerging viruses. And importantly, most RNA viruses of swine are multi-host. That means many species are involved. Even you see, there is an example of many viral diseases. I can give you a very good example about swine flu. That's why pig is, or swine is called as the it is a vessels. It is a mixing vessel for many of the viruses. For example, swine flu. Swine, it goes to human, then again bird. Human pigs has a capacity to amplify. That's why pig is known as amplifier host. It's very important if we consider an COVID-19 scenario also we can relate, but I will talk about later on. Then emerging DNA viruses are mostly swine specific. DNA viruses are not multi-host. Particularly you all might be knowing, there is occurrence of African swine fever in the country. For the first time reported in the country. This is why African swine fever, it is a DNA virus and it is only restricted to pig. Classical swine fever. Classical swine fever is one of the most devastating diseases of pigs. And it is responsible for heavy economic losses in the country. And it affects, it affects wild pigs and domestic pigs. It is basically through contact. And in developing countries like India, it is a common practice. Whenever suffers, whenever somebody's animal is suffering, they have seen some of the symptoms. Definitely, what they will do, they will sell it to the market. They will sell it because they don't want to lose their money. This is one of the FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, has seen that it is one of the major cause of other spiritual disease, particularly classical swine fever in the country. The present status of classical swine fever in the country, classical swine fever is endemic in East and Southeast Asia, even India and China, as well as South and Central America. First report of classical swine fever was documented from the state of Maharashtra. Reported from the state of Maharashtra. Subsequently, in the year 1962, and subsequently it was reported from Northeast. You can see. Even the OIE, you might World Organization of Animal Health, they have recorded, they have all data, particularly this outbreak of classical swine fever from the year 1996 to 2015. So they that during that period, 2,618 outbreaks has taken place in India. And during that period, the mortality ranges from 5.7 to 56.71%. The average mortality rate of 29. How much loss it can cause in the economy of the poor farmers. Classical, if you see, the racial distribution of classical swine fever, I have already shown. Here, majority of the outbreaks, if you see in the map of India, the maximum cases have been occurred, particularly in Assam and in the northeastern region. And most of the major number of outbreaks has reported from Assam. You will see 200 to 500 or 100 to other majority of the cases from the northeast region. Very important fact is that earlier it's classical swine fever. Basically, genotype, subgenotype 1.1 was circulating in India. And there is a recent report that genotype, subgenotype 2.1 and 2.2 are also circulating. That means it clearly indicates the vaccine which is available in the country, which is based on that is 1.1, that may not provide full protection. There is a shift in the subgenotypes. Definitely, these are the one important area where we have to think in further development of the vaccine against classical swine. Classical swine fever, cell culture vaccine is available. It is effective, but recent change in the genotype, recent shift in genotype, that is a one very important area of concern. And regarding diagnosis, you know this disease can be easily diagnosed by ELISA, maybe antigen detection or antibody detection, and by PCR. Another very important disease you might be knowing, that is porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome virus in pig. This disease was not reported till 2012 in the country, but only in the year 2013 it was reported for the first time from the country, from the state of Mizo. That is not. And this disease was initially when outbreak took place in USA in the year 1987. It was initially, they thought it is a diagnosed, and later on in the year 1991 from Netherlands it was diagnosed as a PRRS. In year 2006 it was reported from China, and initially porcine high fever syndrome, they told it like that. And the disease was particularly whatever the outbreak took place in 2006 in China, this was caused by a very highly pathogenic virus. And highly pathogenic porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome is characterized by high fever, high morbidity, even it may go up to 100%, and mortality also even it may go to 100% in all cases. You see the present status of PRSS in the world. There are two genotypes of this. Again, these are affected, no other species are affected. One is called North American type, this type. Another is called Western Europe or European type, this is type 1. And this, if you see, most of the Asian countries, including China, Japan, Vietnam, Philippines, all including Asia, it has also been reported from all the countries. The most important thing, it causes abortion storm. So there may not be direct mortality. Mortality mostly occurs in respiratory form in piglets. But there will be huge loss when abortion storm. Suppose in a pig farm, when there is mass abortion, it will cause a huge economic loss. From India, for the first time, it was reported in the year 2013, that is 26 June 2013, and subsequently 4 major outbreak has been recorded, that is from the state of Mizoram. So it is the most important area. It's a very surprising fact to see. It has first time reported in 2013, then subsequently 2015, 16, 17, 18, several outbreaks in Mizoram. Why Mizoram has? Because you might be knowing India, particularly northeastern region, we have a porous border with neighboring countries like Myanmar and Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh. It is a 4,000, almost 500 kilometer that porous border. So there is some illegal transport of animals only from the Myanmar to Mizoram. It takes place, though it is officially not recognized. These are the porous border, and this is the main point of it. Interestingly, the porcine respiratory reproductive and respiratory syndrome virus isolated from cases of India found that it is a very virulent, it is called highly pathogenic strain of the virus. Subsequently, the clinical outbreaks of this virus, that whatever the genotype reported from India, it is type 2, that is North American type. And this type has also been subsequently reported from the states of Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, and Nagaland. This is because initially it has entered to Mizoram, then this Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, and Nagaland. Very interestingly, you see subsequently the seroprevalence of the disease has also been reported from southern states. So it is a matter of very difficult to control the disease because against this PRRS also in India no vaccination is carried out. We do not have a vaccine. Of course, the Chinese vaccine we cannot use because we don't know what type is circulated in it. So, in the absence of vaccine, the only biosecurity is a tool which can prevent the disease. So we have to take proper biosecurity measures. Otherwise, the disease will spread every PPN states of the India. Of course, it has now become endemic in India, and if we do not have any proper biosecurity measure, we are vulnerable. Biosecurity is the present in the absence of the vaccine. Biosecurity is the only option. And some of the countries, Scandinavian countries, even if you see Australia and all that, they are free from this disease. Parvovirus infection. And it is one of the important causes of infectious infertility in pigs. And it is responsible for a condition that is called MEDI. You will not stillbirth, modification, and binding death and infertility in pigs. And this presence of the disease, because there is a coincidence, I will be talking later on, there is another disease called porcine virus 2. And these diseases occur, the mixed infection occur commonly. And occurrence of mixed PPV and PCV2 from India has been reported in the year 2010. Subsequently, these diseases have also been reported from several states of India. Even from southern states also it has been reported. That means these diseases also endemic in India. And mostly, most of the piggery farm, they have the disease. Though there is no much mortality, but there will be abortion. But this abortion is very specific. I have shared on Twitter, if you see, when piglets are born, they are all mummified. This is one of the important diagnostic criteria. Of course, we have to take the laboratory test, but very important criteria. You see the picture, all are mummified. As I was talking about porcine virus, it is one of the emerging diseases in India, and I am very sure all the pig rearing states they have the disease PCV2, and it is endemic. And if you see, there are three major genotypes. It is called PCV2A, PCV2B, and PCV2C. These three genotypes and other genotype PCV2C and PCV2B is not very common. But very surprisingly, that's why it is a very important area of study. There is, suppose a vaccine has been developed. In India, there is no vaccine. But in India, we are currently using one vaccine that is made in Germany. That is called Sycoplex virus. And this Sycoplex virus PCV2 is genotype. The main problem is that we are using PCV2 as genotype. To some extent, it is giving protection. But there is a shift of genotype. The prevalent PCV2 genotype was replaced by the PCV2 genotype in mid 2000. In the year, particularly in and around 2000, if you see, it has been replaced by PCV2. That means it will not give full protection when we are vaccinated. Again, another important thing is that in recent years, this PCV2 genotype has appeared. And even from northeastern states of India, particularly northeastern region, also we have reported the presence of PCV2. It's a very interesting fact. When you think about control of the disease, the vaccine to be developed, because from outside we cannot bring a vaccine that may not be very effective. This is a very important area where we must go. have recently all Africans. It was not present in our country, even if you see up to 2020 April, it was not there. But in 2020 May, it has been reported from these states of India. As it was reported from Arunachal Pradesh, and finally it was reported from Meghalaya. This is a very important thing because this is a OI reported disease. OI reported notifiable disease means whenever any new disease occurs, which has tremendous effect on economy and which can spread rapidly, that disease has to be reported to the OI. So there are many rules and regulations. There are many restrictions. Even animal from that part cannot move to other part. There is restriction in animal movement, restriction in product movement. There is restriction in sale of animal. There are so many restrictions. And very importantly, we are assuming initially the disease was reported in 1921 from Kenya. 1921 it was reported from Kenya. Then again it has been reported in 1956 from Portugal. And in 2007 it was reported from Georgia. The disease is spreading, and according to the OIE, at present more than 60 countries have reported the occurrence of the disease. 1921 it was reported from Kenya. Now at present more than 60 countries have reported. And if you go to the recent outbreaks in China, in Asian countries, first it was reported in China 2018, and in the month of August, again in China, one place called Tibet, which is very near to the Assam. It is a bordering area of bordering with Arunachal Pradesh. It was reported from in the year 2019 in April, and during 2019, from many Asian states, disease has been reported. Cambodia, Myanmar, again Myanmar. Second time it was reported in February 2020. Indonesia, Mongolia, Philippines, and Vietnam. Many of the and recently from India, it is May 2020. It clearly indicates unless we take proper measures, particularly the international border, if some ceiling point is particularly movement restriction and strict regulation is not there, it will be very difficult to control that. And as per OI report, because this disease has to be reported to the OI, and as it has occurred first in India, we have reported to the OI in the month of May 2020. Now there are many restrictions. Because now when it will be very difficult to have trade, export, import, it will be totally banned when the disease is prevalent in the country. For this purpose, whatever the epicenters we have recorded, thoroughly monitoring, and after that thorough check, when we will be able to tell the disease is free, then OI will tell the disease is free, then we can think for reintroduction of the animal intelligence. There are many issues for this purposes. For this purpose, a national committee for management of African swine fever has been formed in of African swine fever in Asia outbreaks in different places that is available in the map. Then another is that swan influenza. It has an even genetic importance, you all know. But very importantly, this disease was reported. There is only one report of this swine flu that is caused by H1N influenza A, H1N1 virus. That was reported in the year 2010. It was from pig, and which is a close homology with human pandemic that has occurred in 2019. In India, in this map, if you see, I am showing many places it has been reported. These are the cases not reported in human pig, not reported from pig. These are the cases that is reported from human. And because you know, who also with blame pig, because pig has some role to play, but majority of the cases the disease takes place from human to human. Might be due to travel. Some people might have come from they have contacted the disease from different countries. Some from human to human spreads very rapidly. These are the cases reported in human. Important disease that is called foot and mouth disease. You all know. In pig serotypes OA, ACN1, Tier 1, these are endemic in India. And very importantly, particularly young, mostly affected, and there is death in young piglets. And another impact is that the aerosol transmission is there, but in case of pig, aerosol transmission is very high because it produces 60-fold higher airborne viruses. In the year 2001, it has caused a huge slowdown in UK, then followed by many of the countries in the world. And even in 1997 epidemic in Taiwan, you can imagine a seriousness of the disease. If in Taiwan, 4 million of pigs are slaughtered due to their foot and mouth disease. So, what can be the economic impact of this disease? You can very easily. In pig also, it has been reported by many reports, many. Generally, if you see the epidemiology, when animals commingle, because this disease can go from cattle to buffalo to pig like that. So, regarding diagnosis, most of the diagnosis can be made on commercially available ELISA, even PCR also we can use. Another very common infection in pig, that is rotavirus infection. There are 8 species of rotavirus, starting from rotavirus A to H, and particularly 5 group, that is A, B, C, E. These are presently found in pig, and most common is the group A rotavirus. And higher prevalence of this disease has been reported from northeastern region. And we have also analyzed sequence data, and finally we have found that these genotypes G4, G6, G9 up to P7, P13, these genotypes are circulating in India. And Japanese encephalitis virus, you all might have heard, is most prevalent in northeastern part of the country, and there are 5 genotypes. Even it has also been reported other states, including UP. 5 genotypes 1 to genotype 5. Mostly it causes encephalitis, and it is prevalent in Asia, so China, India, Japan. These countries is very prevalent. And Assam is one of the highly endemic states, and very surprisingly, you'll be knowing that they shares approximately 47% of the total Z positive cases reported all over the country. And Japanese encephalitis virus we have studied, and it belongs to the genotype T, and was found to be mostly related to human isolates of ZV from Malda, West Bengal, Nadia, West Bengal, Belur, India. Another important viral disease of swine is called swinepox. It is not very lethal because there is no mortality, but there is economic losses. And first isolation and molecular characterization was from Haryana, and subsequently disease has also been reported from various states. And transmissible gastroenteritis, this is also one of the very important diseases which is responsible for diarrhea, causes heavy mortality in piglets, and serological evidence, and subsequently the virus has also been isolated from different parts of India. Another very important is this porcine epidemic data. Only one cases of serological evidence it has been reported in India, and there is no isolation of the virus. But these are the disease. If it once entered the country, it will cause a very heavy economic losses. For this purpose, we have to keep close vigilance so that this disease cannot enter the country. So that means preparedness plan, contingency plan for disease prevention. This is very important area where we have to work a lot. Another group of the virus which causes diarrhea in pigs, this is called Picovirna viruses. And first report of detection from the piglets, it was from Calcutta. And subsequently, the disease has also been reported from northeastern region. Nipah virus infection, you all might be knowing, because Nipah virus is a highly disease, and you might recently the disease has been reported from Kerala, and 19 to 20 people they have died because of this Nipah virus infection. Generally, it belongs to the genus Henipavirus. In India, till date, there were 3 cases reported, but all were from human. First cases were reported from West Bengal, Siliguri in the year 2001, and second from the West Bengal from Nadia district in 2007, and recently in 2008 May, it was from the Kerala. So all cases were reported in human, but pig plays a very important role. Particularly in whatever the cases reported in India in human, he was not responsible, but it was mainly this Canopas bats. It is a fruit eating bat. Those bats were responsible. Yes, pig also plays an important role. We have to keep a constant gazing on it. Very important, which is also zoonotic significance. It is West Nile virus. It is a arthropod-borne disease, viral disease caused by flavivirus, and mostly disease infection in human are mostly infection in pigs are inapparent. Mostly causes weight gain, loss, and neurological symptoms, but in human it causes encephalitis, and it is mostly caused by this flavivirus. And transmission, particularly most transmission, is very common, and it has also been imported from several parts of India. These are the important bacterial diseases that is currently prevalent in, and these are bacterial diseases. Common bacterial disease that has been reported from India are brucellosis. In this is caused by Brucella suis. There are three biovars. Three are mostly responsible, and they are associated with production less in pregnant cows. And it has been reported from various parts of India. Another important disease, though you all know, and very common, is colibacillosis, and it has been found about 50% of the cases of neonatal diarrhea are responsible are due to E. coli infection. And there are different types of E. coli responsible: ETC, enterotoxigenic Escherichia coli, enteropathogenic Escherichia coli, cigatoxin position Escherichia coli. And we have made a thorough studies in northeastern region. What are the pathotypes of Escherichia coli from each circulating in northeastern part of the country, where piggery plays a very important role. And we have also seen the antimicrobial resistant pattern. You might be knowing this another very important disease. This is called edema disease, which is also caused by this is E. coli of the type STC. Those have also been characterized. Salmonellosis is very common. What thing is that it's not very common in piglets, particularly winning piglet. It is very common. And though there are various serotypes or species of Salmonella, but thing is the most important for pig is Salmonella cholerasis, which is responsible for multi-systemic disease starting from direct symptom, respiratory involvement, nerve involvement. And virulence in profiling and antimicrobial resistant pattern of hormonal isolates recovered from pig has also been carried out. Then another very important disease, Clostridial infection. It mostly occurs in piglets and is responsible for econosis, particularly Clostridium type C. Clostridium perfringens types A and C are responsible. And we have also reported the occurrence of Clostridium perfringens type A in piglets. And another important is Clostridium difficile. It has zoonotic significance, and in humans it is responsible for pseudomembranous colitis. We have also studied in northeastern region, and we found that this is very much prevalent, and we have also carried out a toxinotype of this. Important disease that is swine erysipelas, you all might be knowing. It is generally, everybody knows, it is called diamond skin disease. Whenever the name itself clearly indicates there will be appearance of rhombocephalus to diamond skin disease. Then when disease occurs in skin, particularly that characteristic rhombocephalus, but what we have observed is that it is only in the standard textbook it is written, or some of the typical cases you may get. But it is very clear from the picture. If you see the picture, once we have reported the cases where there was no such typical rhombocephalus lesion, but there was high rise of tempers, there is some raised spots as I have shown in the figure. It is available, and there was lameness. And finally, we could isolate the organism from those animals. So it clearly indicates that whatever mentioned in the textbook that may not be available, means you can see in a real field. It is also one of the very common disease, but this disease can easily be treated with high doses of penicillin. Diagnosis is generally made by isolation and identification, and PCR nowadays is a very common tool we can use for diagnosis. Another very important bacterial disease is pasteurellosis. Very common, and sometimes it occurs in web record if the proper hygiene is not maintained. Generally, in certain, it is a opportunistic pathogen, then you all know. Whenever this inclement weather or condition is available that is not conducive for, it multiplies and occurs in epidemic form. There are several serotypes, but thing is that serotype A, D is mostly found in pig, B is basically in cattle. So you see, sometimes some people they ask whether if we vaccinate our pigs with the presently available bacterial vaccine, whether it works or not. The DVC is very clear. Generally, this A and D type is very common in pig, and B is rarely reported. There are hardly few reports. The vaccine which is given in cattle, it is consists of B type. So if we give the vaccine, there will not be full protection. So this is a area, particularly we have to develop a vaccine which incorporates the local isolate, that is, that is A and D. That is very important. And symptoms are most productive cough, epistaxis, thumping. Thumping, you might be knowing this abdominal pain. It is very common in pasteurellosis. And there are many reports from India. And we have also carried several studies. Even we have characterized the Pasteurella marsus in isolate circulating in India. And we have also virulence profiling also we have done. Those are data are available. Then leptospirosis, and people are susceptible to many different serotypes. And leptospira could be isolated from. There is a report. Two cases were reported. One case is that is 20 from 20 blood samples collected, and finally they could report it. It was a report from ICR Research Complex, Goa. There are only few reports, but this disease is present. Then listeriosis. Listeriosis it is responsible for septicemia, encephalitis, and stillbirth, gastroenteritis, many cases. Although listeria infection in swine is infrequent, only one outbreak has been reported. So this has also been reported from pigs. And Streptococcus infection, it is one of the very common pathogen in pig and is responsible for considerable mortality in piglets. Because many people ignore, because whenever we do perform postmortem, many times we see heart, suppose when we open, there is 5 minutes pericarditis. There is fluid in the cavity, hydrothorax. So this is very important disease. It is very simple, common symptoms, but we ignore. These are basically caused by the Streptococcus. And these were zoonotic independence. In 2005, there was massive outbreak of Streptococcus in human population in China. That time only people have realized that this organism is also very important. And in from Bigari, and we have created out in details, including antimicrobial resistance, their virulence in profiling, which genotype is circulating in India. Those things are available. And many of the isolates, what we found, they are multi-resistant. And greasy pig disease is caused by Staphylococcus aureus. Morbidity can be up to 90%. For the first time from India, we have reported the disease. Later on, that is reported from the states of India. Recently, the disease has been reported from Mizoram. In newspaper, in a local dailies in Mizoram, they have reported some black disease, some mysterious black disease occurring in pig. Finally, they confirmed is that Staphylococcus that the disease pig is. But we have already reported that this is long back, but this is very common in pig. But it depends on hygienic management. If you are maintaining your pig, of course, in a scavenging system, it is very difficult. But in intensive system, we will be able to manage the disease if hygiene is proper. And this is by this isolation and identification. And PCR is a very common tool that we can use for diagnosis. Another important disease is Bordetella. Bordellosis is caused by Bordetella bronchoseptica. Is Bordetella bronchoseptica along with Pasteurella maltosita. They are responsible for ectopic rhinitis in pig. It's a very common disease. The thing is that if this disease occurs in a particular pig herd or pig farm, we have to be very cautious in feeding the animal, because otherwise, from one animal it may spread to other animals. Even without using laboratory investigation, or if you examine, because there will be deviation of the nasal septa and lysis of the nasal bone, the twisting, bending of the snout, those things also you can see. Finally, you can go with the tutorial laboratory. This animal has to be removed from breeding program if found positive. Then another minor infection is Campylobacter, which is responsible for mild diarrhea in piglets, and we studied mostly common biotype is biotype 1. MRSA, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. It is a public health zoonosis, public health importance. These diseases generally found those particularly, it is called nosocomial infection, because this disease can originate from the hospital setup. So it is very important, particularly for human. But pigs are a reservoir of this disease. So pig can definitely transmit the disease to human being. And we made a thorough study, including all the major pig rearing states in India, and we found almost 7.02% in pig population of the northeastern region. And we have also characterized by XCC MAC typing, which is Staphylococcus chromosome MAC typing. We have also found, and we found that two SCC MAC types, that is type K and type R, were very common in India, and they were circulating in Indian people. Tuberculosis, they are susceptible to all three types: the mycobacterium tuberculosis, bovis, and MA. There are only few reports, because you see the main reason is that few reports. The main reason is that pigs are generally kept for around 8 months. After that, they are sold. That may be the reason, because it takes long time to develop. Then parasitic diseases, pigs are also affected by various parasites, and these are gestational helminths, Escherichia swamps, Tongallosis species, Stipendius dentissus, Tongallosis. There's many pigs. Protozoa, Imeria, Isospora, Phytosporidium, Giardia are common, and Hemoptyzoa, Apetogen, and ectoparasite, Hematogenous, Swiss, Demodex. These are very common. This has been reported from various parts of India. And very important, this is porcine cysticercosis, because this is zoonosis significance. Because if we eat uncooked or improperly cooked meat, we can get infection. But one point I want to know, most of the time people blame pig for cysticercosis, but that is not the actual reason. Even many of the countries you might be knowing, which are basically dominated by Muslim population, who eat pork, they do not use pork, even though there is cysticercosis. The reason behind is that it comes from basically from the salad, raw salad, whatever we use. There are many reasons, but pigs are generally blamed. The pig is also responsible, but in a intensive in pig farm or commercial pig, it cannot occur, because regular deworming and we maintain proper. Generally, it is through the human natural, human faces. If hygiene is not proper, where people go for open defecation and pigs are also roaming, such type of situation is very common. So in only scavenger systems, it is a problem, but in a intensive or commercialized system, it is not a problem. These are the preventive and control measures what we can take for the control of important disease. As I have mentioned, if it is a new disease, so just like African swine fever or few years back porcine rheumatic respiratory syndrome disease that has occurred, these diseases have to be notified to the OI, so that the entire world can take a step. It is not only not a duty of the one country, because it's a global import. All has to be come under one umbrella. They should fight for it. So we must report to the OI. And second is early detection and rapid response mechanism. If we can report early, we can detect early, we can report to the OI early, then we can take, particularly is relevant to the new disease which are reportable to OI. And diagnostic, without diagnostic, we cannot go for. Nowadays, it is a good thing that many diagnostics are coming, which can even be used at the field level. This should help in easy diagnosis of the disease. Vaccination has to be compulsory, and vaccine, while preparing the vaccine, as I have mentioned, vaccine available in a particular country, we cannot bring it, because we do not know what is status in our country, which subtypes or maybe genotypes circulating. When we know that the vaccine using the local isolate will only affect, will only give desired protection. This is also very important. Then again, vaccine quality, it has to be prepared as per Y guidelines. And last point, biosecurity. Now in present situation, big farm, if we want to develop our bigger sector, particularly many of the diseases are coming, the only option left is a strong biosecurity. And strong biosecurity will be able to protect many diseases. For example, PRS, we do not have a vaccine. Even PCV2, which is emerging, we have a vaccine from Germany, but how much level it protects, we do not know. Under such situation, and ASF, particularly if you think about ASF, in 1921, it was reported from Kenya. After so many years also, we are not able to develop a vaccine for them. Under such circumstances, biosecurity plays a very crucial role. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Yes, sir, you're audible. Just exit from your presentation, sir.
Okay, okay.
Nilesh, will you please guide, sir, how to exit from presentation?
Yeah, yeah, it will be better because yeah.
There is one button on app side, sir. Stop sharing.
Okay, 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 yeah. Is it okay?
You can on your video because I closed it earlier, sir.
Okay, okay. Yes.
Yes, yes, sir. Sir, thank you very much for your excellent presentation, sir. I would like to, let me just share, more than 65 participants, they are live on my screen as far as the Cisco WebEx is concerned. And almost 10 to 12 participants, they are live on my Facebook page, where I just visited on our ISBM Facebook page, sir. And almost more than 50% of the participant, they have congratulated us for, congratulated you also for excellent presentation, and congratulated to Indian Society for Veterinary Medicine for organizing such a wonderful talk, sir. We really again thankful to you for sharing some time and sharing your experience as far as the swine medicine is concerned. We are really thankful to you. I'm again happy to share that, sir. Among all the participants, senior life member of the ISBM, they are also on dais. Honorable Vice President of Indian Society for Veterinary Medicine, Singh sir is, AP Singh sir is with us. Again, Dr. Gautam Bojne sir, he has also joined. Dr. Gunjan Das sir, he has also joined. And some of the students from all over the country, they also joined, sir. Some questions they are available in my chat box, sir. I will quickly take that questions. One question is there from Dr. Archana Thakur. What porcine breed is more prone to diseases? Any such type of the thing is there, sir, that this particular breed is more susceptible for the infection and all?
Yes, you see, when we talk about disease resistance, there is no such studies, particularly in India, which breed is resistant to a particular disease. From our personal experience, what we have observed, you might be named, there is one breed that is called Ghungru. Ghungru, that is basically originated from West Bengal. These breed has more proneness, particularly for some of the disease like diarrheal diseases. We have seen this might be due to their some inherent nature, but that is not studied in deep. But in India, as such, there is no study conducted which breed is particularly more resistant. But from our experience, we have seen, as I mentioned, the breed of Ghungru, it is more susceptible to diarrhea and some common skin and eye ailments.
Sir, will you give some, it means, what could be a future of porcine industry as far as the effect of current COVID pandemic is concerned, sir?
Yeah, particularly UCC, as I have mentioned, many of the disease, particularly many diseases are reported. Even last 2 decades also, 180 disease pathogen has been reported. And many of the disease which is zoonotic important that has also been reported, pig also plays an important role. Many of the diseases, swine flu, again, if it is Japanese encephalitis, and there are many diseases. And the such circumstances, this veterinary society, particularly those who are associated with diagnosis and development of therapeutics, even the vaccine, we must come together and we must find out some solution. Another important is if you see the present epidemiology of the swine disease, how it is spreading. So definitely we cannot do alone, means under one umbrella, even this technocrats, with professionals, then even those who are in policy making position, they should also come together because definitely if we can have some policy for preventing the definitely there are some restriction of any movement and product movements. Those things are very important. At the another very important, we must develop some of the inside diagnostics because diagnosis when we can make it even for I'm giving simple example. This classical swine fever is available in India long period, but women need diagnostic so that that can reach to the farmers immediately. You can give a diagnosis. That is very important. Development of particularly these are the areas where we have to work development of pancytic or field-based diagnosis so that immediately you can give a diagnosis, and we have to strengthen our veterinary system so that they are also equipped because definitely we cannot it is not like that. But whenever technology is developed, all the research and R&D lab, finally, if it goes to the field, then only our veterinarians will be able to give. So it is one of the promising area we need to develop. We have to think, particularly development of diagnostic in porcine medicine. It is very important area, and epidemiology plays a very important role. Because though we have studied thoroughly in bovine medicine or maybe other medicine, canine medicine, it is not properly exploited. And now it is soon. Even you will be surprised to know the most eaten meat in the world is pork. 37% of the meat is contributes to pig from pork. It clearly indicates this is an area where we must go. Now many of the entrepreneurs are coming forward to take this business because it is associated with their lively generation. Then it is to do. Unless we provide a technology backstopping how they can do. These are the area that means studies on epidemiology of the diseases, then developing these side diagnostics. These are very important area where we must.
Again, one interesting question from Dr. Niyar Oak. Currently, what are top 5 priority diseases of pigs in India and world? And again, he has supplemented one question. How can bachelor student join epidemiological program? That 2 important things he has asked, sir.
If you top 5 diseases, first one will be African swine fever. Second one will be PRS, porcine reproductive and respiratory diseases of pig. Third one will be porcine ecovirus 2. Fourth one is, though it is a endemic disease, FMD. And fifth one is brucellosis. These 5 diseases we have to give priority. Top 3 diseases will be African swine fever, porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome disease, and porcine virus 2. Because these 3 diseases are responsible for huge economic losses in the piggery sector. If we can have some means of controlling or preventive disease, I am telling you, disease related to pig, almost 80% problems. Important thing, as you have mentioned, how the bestseller student they can be associated. Because epidemiology student, particularly when they study their bachelor degree, because many of the cases I have seen, because we have also studied like this, mass emphasis is given on bovine or caprine or ovine cases, including buffalo. but less is taught about curriculum. Even bachelor's degree curriculum also less is incorporated about porcine disease. It is high time to incorporate it in the syllabus, particularly porcine diseases with special emphasis to epidemiology and their diagnosis.
Sir, thank you. Sir, again, one important question from Associate Professor of Pathology from Coas Parvani. I welcome Dr. Gangnes sir on our forum. Just I will take his question very quickly. So he is asking from pathology angle.
Yes, yes.
Does the lesion of Pasteurella in pig are resembling to lesion of other species?
You see, yeah, when Pasteurella infection occurs, most important organ involved is in the lung. Particularly, there will be consolidation of the lungs. There are many in different lobes. So it cannot be differentiated other pasteurellosis occurring in other places because and serotype also same serotype, but one significant difference is that serotype involved is different. In pig, mostly A and D are responsible. D is mostly causing ectopic rhinitis, where mostly it causes ectopic rhinitis, and particular D type is involved for pneumonic pathology, where lung lesions are found. So it cannot be differentiated from which species. So there is no much difference among the species so far lesion is concerned.
Sir, will you it means give some highlight on vaccination schedule on pig? This is also one question asked by Dr. Archana Thakur. Vaccination
Yes.
schedule, correct? Yeah, please, sir.
Yeah, you see, particularly in India, we are doing vaccination against 3 diseases in pig. One is classical swine fever, another is MD, and third is porcine Chikungunya. This is porcine Chikungunya 2. In some places, they are doing again Pasteurella also. But as I have mentioned in the lecture also, how much it will give it is doubtful because the vaccine which is meant for cattle, it is from serotype B. But in pig, mostly prevalent is A and D. That's why in certain areas, the vaccination against pasteurellosis is not carried out. It can be done, but it will not give full protection. But P vaccine against classical swine fever, then again FMD and porcine Chikungunya is then porcine Chikungunya 2. Some schedule, if somebody I can also tell the vaccination schedule in classical fever when it's become around 2 days means generally thing is done 22 to nowadays 42 to early 50 days now it is early winning is done 42 days. So when animal will be becoming 45 or 56 days, then again after 1 week booster dose and every 6 months interval we take a vaccine because it gives better protection. Lepenes vaccine nowadays lepenes vaccine is not available, though some are producing because they use quantum of rabbit promoter for classical swine fever vaccine. Then for FMD, 3 months of age, we can give the vaccine. Again, after that, every 6 month interval. And in case of Pseudoplax, animals are few weeks even we can give, and it gives a lifelong immunity. Lifelong immunity means it gives for almost 9 months. But as the pig's life cycle is say after 8 months, we generally sell it. So one vaccine will work if we are selling at 8 to 9 months of it. If we are not selling, then we have to continue every year. This is the vaccination schedule in pig in a nutshell.
Again, I would like to congratulate you because after finishing of your just webinar, we are getting again very impressive comment as far as your topic is concerned, sir. It's a nice presentation, and thank you very much for giving such a wonderful talk and all, sir. We are really thankful to you for it means giving us opportunity to listen the important diseases as far as the pigs are concerned. Sir, 2 or 3 questions I will take quickly.
Yes.
It is from Dr. Radhika. Highly pathogenic and zoonotic diseases of pig prevalent in India. Will you highlight on this highly pathogenic and zoonotic diseases of pig prevalent in India? And the same, sir, second question I will take. What is the status of swine origin zoonotic diseases other than swine flu? Both are in a parallel way, just answer of both of the same will be same, sir. Both of the
Yeah.
question will be same.
Zoonotic disease that has a pig, most important one is Japanese encephalitis, first one. Then again, as he has mentioned, swine flu also it is important. Again, if you see there are many like again, if you see there are many diseases, Streptococcus suis, as I have mentioned, in 2005 there was a massive outbreak in China. These are important diseases. Particularly even rotavirus also to some extent because porcine rotavirus also it particularly even go to even a human also. Most important disease particularly if you see there's a there's a Japan so I have been carried out, but eventually Nipah virus infection. Recently, it has occurred in Kerala, again in West Bengal, from 2 districts, in Western virus, Western fever. These are coming on.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you for your webinar. At the last, sir, I request Dr. Gunjan Das, sir, to propose the vote of thanks for today's webinar.
That's a
Gunjan Das, sir.
yeah. I also want to thank ISBM Society for giving this opportunity to share my views with all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I was in contact with you. I really it means appreciate and acknowledge your help for our radioimmunoassay laboratory for sharing the samples of the pig to standardize and establish the data about the thyroid profile by radioimmunoassay in pigs are concerned, sir. Yeah, sir. Thank you very much for your support and for your generous help to complete that dissertation, sir. Thank you, sir. Gunjan, sir, are you there? Gunjan, sir. Just I will check Gunjan sir is there or not.
Galdar, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Please, sir.
Is it audible? Is it audible?
Yes, sir. I request you to please. Hello, sir is there? Please propose vote of thanks, sir.
Hello, Galdar, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very good evening to each and everyone. First of all, at the outset, I will like to wish everyone happy Mahastami, happy Durga Puja, and thank you ISBM and Dr. Galdar, especially for giving me the opportunity to propose the vote of thanks. First and foremost, Dr. Rajkwa, the acting director of NRC on pig, Guwahati, has given a tremendous presentation. It's a very nice presentation, information-driven presentation, and the interaction was also very nice. I would like to also put on record my thanks to the dynamic president of our society, Dr. Noriel, the Secretary General, Dr. Ramprabhu, AP Singh sir, Vice President. I also put into record my sincere thanks to the organizers like you, Dr. Galdar and Dr. Nilesh. You are doing a very fantastic job. You are putting our ISBM flag, flying very high. Good round of applause to Dr. Nilesh and Dr. Galdar. I also would like to thank Dr. Shankar Kumar Singh, and last but not the least, our partner for this webinar, the Zydus Animal Health Limited. They came forward, and then they are doing this ISVM in association with Zydus Animal Health is doing a fantastic job. Very nice presentations are going on every day, knowledge driven presentation, and this platform is very important for our students and faculties to gather a lot of knowledges on different diseases. Thank you very much, and I wish you stay safe in this period of pandemic and despair. Good night.
Thank you, Gunjan sir. I again thank to Rajkumar sir for delivering such a wonderful webinar, very informative webinar for our all ISVM life member. I'm sure that all the life member of the Indian Society for Veterinary Medicine, the student who have participated in our webinar, they will benefited from the knowledge shared by Rajkumar sir. Thank you very much. At the last, again, I would like to announce one important thing. Next week also we are organizing, next Saturday we are also organizing webinar on laboratory animal medicine. I request all the participants to register for the next webinar. And again, I wish all of you happy Dasara and happy Vijayadashmi. Namaskar. Thank you everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nilesh.
Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
Good night. Thank you, Ditul sir.